Hey, Eric with Survival, the Beardist YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk about what I feel is a slight injustice if you choose to live this lifestyle. I'm going to talk about insuring your homestead. I think ideally you'll get to the point where you don't have to insure it, and I'll get to that later on in this video. But if you do insure your homestead, I want to start by talking about my experiences with that. As I've shared before, I grew up in the subdivision, always had insurance as a kid growing up. It's just what I was taught to do as an American. So when I moved out to the middle of nowhere, chose to live this lifestyle, I called my insurance company that I've had for over 15 years at that time. Might have been closer to 20 if you count driving when you're 16. Said, hey, I'm moving back off the road a ways, got a new house. Insurance agent came out. That was one of the houses I was in prior to this current one that I built, but it was off the road about a quarter mile as well. Insurance guy said, oh boy, we can't see this thing from the road. The insurance company doesn't like that. Now, maybe I won't name that insurance company, but think about the country that I'm in and maybe how many people are in a family. If you put those two words together, it might tell you what company it is if you form that opinion. They wanted $3,000 to insure it every year. The house was worth about $220 at the time, and the broker said that if that house would have been visible from the road, it would have only been about $1,000 a year. So there's a $2,000 hit right there just because the house wasn't visible from the road. Moving on, they said because it's not visible from the road, it needs to have a high-tech security system. And the security system that they deem high-tech is one through like a third-party company that you pay every month a subscription for them to monitor you. So in addition to the higher rate, they wanted me to be monitored by a third-party company 24 hours a day. Needless to say, I didn't go with them. I was able to find another insurance company, but the next insurance company took issue with wood heat. Okay, I wanted to have wood heat. The other insurance company was about $1,000 a month for insurance, but they said, whoa, wood heat, we don't want to touch that. This house had forced air, it had propane, but I don't want to just rely on that. This was around kind of that 4 years ago time when things were uncertain, and I didn't want to rely on always having propane. So I wanted to put in a wood heating source. This company took issue with that. They said, hey, you can't have wood heat. I said, well, hey, what happens if propane's not available? It's not even my primary source. I just want it to be secondary. They weren't cool with it. So I found a third company that's fine with it. But I do have to pay an additional fee to heat with wood every year. This is my issue with that. A couple of issues I take from it. One, if I'm not visible from the road, who cares? You're an insurance company. I'd like to see the statistics that say that homes get broken into out where I live more than they do in the city. I look at what happened in my own state a few years ago. Downtown Minneapolis burned straight up. They just let it burn for a number of days. Nothing burned where I live. I'm out in God's country. I have privacy. I have peace. Nobody's breaking into my place here. Break-ins don't happen as much around here. If you know what I'm saying, people protect their house. I want to see the statistics that it's more likely that my house gets broken into out here. I'd say it's much less likely because where I live, people tend to protect their homes. In addition to that, the other injustice is this anti-wood heat movement. It's okay to have those modern conveniences. I talk about that all the time. I have a propane heating source in my current homestead now, my permanent one that I really like. It's nice to have, but I have wood as well. I like to use wood. Wood is a great backup for two reasons where I live. One, propane freezes up here probably once every 10 to 15 years. It gets cold enough where propane actually freezes in the line and you can't use it. If you can't heat your house and propane freezes where I live, it's a bad day for you. Your house is going to freeze up. Your water lines are going to freeze up. Bad things are going to happen. And secondary, say the grid goes down for whatever reason, from a natural disaster, from an adversary, what have you, from a car crashing into the power line, whatever, it can go down. It's unreliable. I think it's very smart to have wood as a secondary heat source. I don't get the big issue with insurance companies as long as it's installed safely. Now, if you install a wood stove in your house and you cut corners and you burn down your house, well, I think that should be on you at that point. But if you install it the right way, the safe way, I don't get why some insurance companies are taking such issue with this. It's not even like a homestead thing. Say you live in the city or in the subdivision and you want to have a wood fireplace to have a fire in your house during Christmas. Like, what's the big deal? As long as you maintain it and take care of it. I don't get this push to not burn wood. There's also a lot more regulations the last couple of years with the EPA. They don't want any wet wood burned in your house because they're afraid that it's going to like hurt the environment. But you can go outside and have a campfire with all the wet wood you want. What's the difference? Sure, there's creosote in a pipe, but you should be taking care of that and know about that if you heat your house with wood. Thoughts to ponder. I think you should get to the place in your off-grid homestead life, whether you're doing it now, whether you're considering it, to the point that you don't even need insurance. Think about these last few hurricanes that have hit. Okay, I'm not an insurance person, read your own policy, but it's my understanding that if a hurricane hits your house, unless you have like separate coverage or separate policy, it's not even covered. So here you are paying an insurance company these premiums for years and years and years and years. Then your house gets level. Oh, hurricane did it, not covered. Oh, stormwater hit it, not covered. I'd be a little upset. I know it's in the fine print, and let's be honest, who reads the 20-page contract when they sign an insurance policy? But just consider that. I challenge you to get to a point in your homestead life that you can have your homestead built. Like I built this recent one. I did get some help framing it, as I've discussed in other videos. Not that much money. I mean, I could rebuild it for not a whole lot, probably about 40 grand, 50 grand, somewhere in there I could rebuild it. But if you can get to the point that you can mill like your own wood, or you can put up your own wood in a different structure that you have, and then you could just rebuild it in the event that it were needed, I think that's smart. A friend of mine kind of turned me on to this idea. He's similar minded to me. He built his own house 100%. His back's a little better than mine, so he didn't even need help to do it. He constructed it all by hand himself. He did all the wiring. He's got wood heat. He's got some barns that he built, and you know what he's got in the barns? He's got enough wood in it to last his lifetime to build a whole second homestead. So it's kind of funny. We were talking once, and I talked to him about insurance once because he had wood heat, and I said, hey, how do you get insurance? He laughed. He goes, I don't have insurance. My insurance is in my barn. I'll just rebuild my house if it burns down or if a tornado knocks it down. And when you kind of do the math and think about how long, you plan to live for, I mean, I'm in my late 30s. I'm almost 40. If I do the math, if I'm going to pay an insurance company over $1,000 a year, I mean, you add that up over a number of years, it gets kind of expensive. You could almost be your own insurance company. And when you get to the point that you live like a debt-free homestead lifestyle, yeah, if I had to rebuild my homestead, it'd be a lot of work and it'd be a big expense. But if you can get to the point that you can have those materials put up, you could reset, or maybe you have a backup cabin you could stay in while you did construction. Is that better than insurance? I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you don't get insurance, get insurance. That's going to be your personal call. What I am saying is I think there's starting to be more of an attack on this lifestyle, because I know that when my parents were kids, nobody would have given them a hard time for having wood heat. And now there's a pushback for having wood heat. There's a pushback for living back a quarter mile off the road. There's a pushback for not being visible from the road by these big insurance companies. And I don't agree with it. I don't. I feel much safer living out in the middle of nowhere than in a big city. If you live in a big city, that's fine. It's not personal. It's all choice. I just don't get why there's a pushback from insurance. So think about that as you go on with your plans. If you're planning on living this lifestyle, can you be your own insurance company? How can you build your homestead or change it that you could just rebuild it in the event you ever had to? Does that make more sense for you than paying an insurance company? I don't know. Comment below. Let me know what you think. We'll catch you in the next video.